Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangouts. I'm your regular host, Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, 2019 general election may be Nigeria's most expensive, says INEC, as lawmakers consider the Commission's 189 billion naira budget. And later on the show, amidst National Assembly face-off, Saraki considers running for president in 2019. I'll be hanging out with Chris Kendi Wandu, CKN, Sam Ibemere, and Asuko James. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Glad to always have you join us, but widening the political space is essential to encouraging massive participation and inclusive governance. But bigger opportunities attract greater cost in terms of material, monetary, and human resources. An unprecedented political expenditure beckons in Nigeria as the country prepares for an election next year. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says the electoral umpire will require a whopping 186 billion naira to effectively organize the 2019 elections. Add that the amount needed by other agencies involved directly or indirectly with the conduct of the polls, and you will get 242 billion naira. I say that again, 242 billion naira total. Professor Yakub gave the figures as members of the National Assembly committees on INEC began consideration of the election budgets. You may want to ask, will the huge costs lead to credible outcome? Not necessarily. Now, gentlemen, from 1999, I've been seeing a kind of comparative analysis of budget expenditure. This is unprecedented. CKN.
Very, very unprecedented. And the main key there is last question. You may want to ask, will the huge cost lead to credible outcome of the election? That, to me, I would say no. Because in Nigeria, right from 1960, from the military era down to when we started civilian and rest of them, we've never had any credible election. The nearest we ever had was the June 12th election that involved MKO.
The statistics said the contrary. 2015 election was credible in terms of the number of cases, post-election cases we had, litigation we had.
No.
That was kind of...
No, that's not the truth, because if not for the fact that President Goodluck Jonathan agreed, unlike what we've had in the past.
Not presidential alone, across the board.
No, I'm just saying.
The number of cases.
No. When the presidential candidate of the PDP said, I am not going to court,
okay,
every other person told that line. That was happened. If not, we would have gone into several litigation that would have taken months and even years before we can get that result.
The electoral
yes, with the electoral, exactly. So yes, the electoral has taken the. But back to the question. What we are having is unprecedented. 189 million to conduct an election. Billion, sorry. Billion. I'm used to million, but this billion is just... Then we also have to look across board. What is happening in other civilized countries? In the UK, United States, in the UK, and the rest of them, is because of the kind of... And we believe that we have some level of, quote and unquote, our normal use of words, pardon, and the rest of them. I don't think that election we should, because some of these costs would have been spent on other infrastructural palliatives that could have benefited the masses. But as time goes on, we're going to go down and look at the breakdowns, okay, you know. But for me, this is a no-no.
As we are getting this breakdown now, to print ballot papers, we have 31.49 billion naira. That's the most essential thing, to print ballot papers. Now that you have 91 political parties officially in Nigeria, so you know how cumbersome it's going to be to reflect this on the ballot papers. So you have 31.49 billion naira. Logistics expenses, breaking it down, that's 7.4 billion naira. and procurement of non-sensitive materials. That is the ballot boxes, the divider, the ink, and everything. So we have 6.125 billion naira. And the bizarre, feeding of policemen, 6 billion naira to feed policemen. Policemen, 6 billion naira. You can see the rundown. And printing of result sheets, 4.36 billion naira. Rack preparation, that's 2.9 billion naira. And election day allowance, very important. Those hard doc staff, and NYC and everything, and extra allowance for INEC staff across the country will cost us 2 billion naira. Election day allowance. Fee expenses for solicitors, underline that INEC lawyers, 1.79 billion naira. And printing of publication of register, that's the voter register, that's 1.6 billion naira. Production of poll guideline, that's 972 million naira. Procurement of equipment, 870 million naira. And another one that I don't understand, situation room. Set up a situation room across the 36 states, that's 730 million naira. Voter education, the jingle and everything, 710 million naira. And foreign observers, another naughty one, foreign observer, we got 700 million naira. Now, monitoring of parties' primaries, INEC officials, and we have to go and monitor the parties and you have 630 million naira to do that. You know, SMS, INEC, you want to send a bulk SMS out. You have 94 million naira. Interface with groups, you have 125 million naira. Per diem for policemen, their per diem is 1,000 naira, I think, on election day. Asuko, we have the breakdown.
It's quite interesting because I think there are some things that are here. We know they are essential for election, but the figures are so humongous. Because if you look at it, why do we need to, for instance, the foreign observers? When I saw it, 700 million. I know I've covered the election just like you have. Most of those foreign observers come on their own. Sometimes you don't even know where they stay. You know,
so that the report will not be influenced.
It will not be influenced at all. That is they are like their own INEC. They are so independent.
Yes.
You know,
so that nobody will be able to infiltrate
their own report. Yeah. So, giving them 700 million. What is that 700 million for? Is it for hotel or for their feeding? Because I really need to. Maybe the INEC guys need to really tell us how they need to break it down.
How this will work.
How it will work. Are you paying for their flights? Which is not possible.
Yeah, because
it's
NDA,
definitely
NDI
because
and the rest of them do
that. DFID and co.
I'm telling you,
that's what they do.
No, they drew it seamlessly.
They have their budget and they don't want anything that close to them.
Exactly. You know, just like the EU too.
Yeah. You said do that
exactly.
as well.
So if for instance, maybe if they were saying something about local observers, we might even have an idea. It's okay. Maybe INEC also, exactly. But now they specifically said foreign observers. So that one is a no-no. There's a question mark on that. Now the situation room, we know how situation room looks like. So if you are saying that you want to spend 700 million, 730 million
this
for situation,
36 states.
If they're, across 36 states.
Okay,
so they need to also break it down for us. What is going to be inside the situation?
Playing the devil's advocate now, INEC might want to test their, what do they call that thing? That transmits results from polling units to electronic... You know, for the first time.
It
was tested.
There are card readers and all that.
They test ran it in Ekiti State.
Now, even Ekiti, I heard they brought new card readers.
Yes, those tiny ones.
The tiny ones. I was even expecting to see something like that. I don't know if they have that in the budget.
No,
because that is
supposed part of logistics expenses.
You know, because that's
7.4 billion.
You know, 7.4 billion. You know, so if you look at all these things, we are not saying that they shouldn't come out with a budget. but come out with a realistic budget. We know that, okay, some people are saying that, okay, the budget has shot up by about 69 billion from 2015 till date. You know, when I looked at the indices, I said, okay, fine.
Look at it, inflation.
Inflation.
Look at the way inflation has gone
and
from
then if you look
2015.
at, okay, they are talking about logistics, for instance.
The number of political parties, too.
Number of political parties, the number of the now new registered voters, you know. And then in 2015...
to monitor their primaries.
Exactly. Then in 2015, then, we had the pump price of petrol was about 86 naira, you know, because INEC will also factor that.
Yes, that will affect.
That's part of logistics.
So, part of logistics. So you can look at all those things, but there are some other things that shouldn't even come in play, particularly the foreign observers and all that. And so INEC, maybe that is
the lawmakers.
They have to be the ones to now, you know, look at it and then remove some things. Then don't forget the police. Police originally, they have their own budgets from the federal, from the normal allocation. And I know that there are special assignment budgets. So if you have...
Are you sure you get to them?
If the police has... If they have in their normal budget, they have special assignment budgets. Why is INEC adding another one? So is INEC adding another one to make them feel comfortable or what? So we need to ask questions.
On opening now, some of us, we've had to cover election, you know, around the world, and, you know, we see, I was making reference to Ghana the other time, and there was a time even in Mali, in Senegal, South Africa, you know, when you see the way elections, they conduct election, is this enough will tell you that it's something extraordinary. But those countries, they've been able to simplify election. It's like no big deal. It's a working day. Even in Ghana, our neighbor here, it was a usual working day in 2016 election. Everybody went to school, everybody went to work. There was a polling unit in the marketplace. And from what you are seeing here, even in terms of security, in terms of this preparation, what do you make of this?
I know you've just nailed it when you said that neighboring countries, we're not even talking about...
America now.
Yeah, no. America and the rest of them. The ones that are very close by, who have made tremendous progress in terms of the way and manner they've conducted, you know, elections, you know, within their own environment. Sadly for us, we don't seem to be making, you know, steady, positive progress, in spite of the huge sums, you know, budgeted for our elections. I think the whole thing fits into the very sad culture of wanting to create opportunities to siphon resources. It all revolves around corruption, and that's why we are where we are today. In 2011, we were told that it cost us about 87 billion. Sorry, about 87 billion, you know, was proposed and considered by an arm of National Assembly. Sadly, again, by the time we were done with the elections, we were told that it actually cost about 120 billion. Mark that word, 120 billion. Because even now we are being told that it also costs 120 billion. Okay. So you want to doubt, one begins to doubt the credibility of the figures that are being thrown at Nigerians. Because if in 2011, the INEC Chief Press Secretary Khalid told Nigerians that it cost about that sum of money, 122 billion or so, that in fact they made a saving of about 9 billion, that it ought to have been 131 billion. You wonder where that is all coming from. Of course, looking back, you know that that was all sham. It was all sham. That budget was basically meant to be stolen, and that was what really happened. In 2015, we were told that about 97 billion, again, was proposed. Between that figure and what the INEC chairman, the current INEC chairman told us, you have a disparity, because the current INEC chairman says that it cost 120 billion, and I'm correct, that was the figure he reeled out. But figures elsewhere are saying that it costs, even though 93 billion was proposed, that it costs between 97 and 108 billion. So you begin to wonder, should Nigerians believe these records, believe these figures that have been put out there? Now we hear it's 189 billion, which is almost 60-something billion ahead of, on top of what was spent in 2015. Now the issue, is there a relationship between how much we commit to our elections and the credibility of it? To me, the answer is no. Because every election, the success of every election would depend on the processes. At the moment, even with all the resources that have been committed to the processes, you still have complaints about voter registration not being conducted effectively and efficiently. There are complaints about underage voters, the underage carrying voters' cards and all that. We had videos that have gone viral, and that's a shame. So the National Assembly, currently meeting to consider this budget, will have to look at it very deeply. Nigerians demand transparency at every level. Agreed, INEC may have argued that they're making provisions for inflation and all that, but that's neither here nor there. I'll take us back a little. In 2015, we heard that about 21 billion was what it cost us to transit from the ordinary voter's card to PVC and smart card. And then, in 2018, we are being told that INEC has budgeted almost 27 billion as technology costs. And then you wonder, what fresh technology is INEC bringing to the table? When we already spent, and the figures are available out there, we already spent 21 billion transiting from the old system that was disbanded.
It's quite different from the normal.
Yeah, but even at that, yes, you can argue for upgrade, but should we be spending 27 billion on technology? What form of technology are we talking about?
Okay, beyond the cost now, we are looking at the fidelity, we are looking at the credibility of the process. Yeah. There was a time, are we making progress? There was a time a certain man called Justice Ephraim Akpata held sway in 1999. From Ephraim Akpata, it went to Abel Gubaria. From Abel Gubaria, we had Professor Maurice. From Professor Maurice, we had Justice Atairu Jega, before now having Mahmoud. When you look at the trajectory since 1999 till this time, how credible is that organization called INEC?
Well, a tough call. When it comes to credibility, INEC has always been seen is not as independent as we want it to be. Most often than not, you realize that who pays the piper determines the tune. That has always been the case.
Was that the case in 2015?
That is where I'm going to. Okay. The nearest we ever had was in 2015 when Professor Atairu Jega was in charge. And I will say with all sense of responsibility that probably the government of the day at that time were out to make sure that we're able to have some resemblance of credibility. Yes, in that process. That's why at times I give it to Goodluck Jonathan. There are some other people that would have found themselves in the situation that Jonathan found himself during the election, and that would have been a good excuse to mess up the system. If you quite remember that he then went to vote.
2AK?
At 2AK.
I was with President Buhari in
Daura.
It took President Buhari just like 5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes, President Buhari. But the president then tried several times, and he couldn't vote.
And he had to feel...
He had to feel... In fact, you know, he went home and came back and tried severally at the rest of them, and that he has now feel... He voted the wife, I think himself and the mom couldn't vote or something like that. But you will realize that he was out to make sure that the process really, really worked. And to his credit, even the president himself said it, that he was shocked when Goodluck Jonathan called him and said, he said he almost fainted. Okay? That is how independent he was. Don't also forget the man that was shouting, the minister.
Urubebe.
You've forgotten what happened. Urubebe, when he went to the collation center, I was shouting and shouting that, no, this is not possible, this and this and that. You know, for them, some of the aides of the president then, they already had they know how this thing works. Okay? Of course, a sitting president in an African setting cannot just lose an election like that, irrespective of whatever happened. But the man was very, very... So, the vote of reflected. It reflected. And that is why we are talking, you know, you asked the question initially that how come we had less litigation for 2015? That was one of the reasons. Then when he came out and said, I am not going to challenge... Look at the election from 1999. There was none of the presidential election that was not challenged. From 1999 to 2020, all of them. In fact, this present president challenged practically all the...
He did.
He did.
He did yes. To Supreme Court level.
Yes, to Supreme Court, not only to the appeal, to the Supreme Court. So what that is, I believe we should have been able to take up from where we stopped in 2015.
Okay, Asuko, I will ask you the same question. We had situations where sometimes they used to write results in hotel rooms. Sometimes the number of registered voters will be more than the figures declared by INEC during the inglorious days of Professor Morrissey. But we have like almost a full text system now. You have a PVC, you have a calendar, and I can tell you for free, our next port of call is going to be in Osun State. I can tell you the number of registered voters they have, the number of, we're updating the PVC, people that collected PVC. So the system is becoming more and more difficult to be, tampered with.
Yeah, Ayo, the thing is, just like our democracy is growing, the process, the electoral process is also growing. It's changing day by day. When some people are saying, now...
Let me quickly pick our first caller.
Okay.
Isiaku is calling us from Niger State. That's our first caller today. Many thanks for hanging out with us. Isiaku, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Good evening.
Good evening.
How is it?
Fine. Fine.
Yeah. I can see Babajide is not around today.
Yes, he is unavoidably absent on official assignments.
Okay. I want to first commend the effort of people, the way you have been enlightening most of the Nigerians on the pressing issues going on our politics.
Thank you, Sako. Okay. We quickly take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangouts, and we are looking at the expenditure of 2019 polls of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and they have brought forward a budget of 189.2 billion naira. And what's the difference between the 189.2 billion naira and the 200 and something billion?
No. The entire budget
It's 254.
It's 254 because
Okay.
some other things will be added, to it to make it 242. 242.
Okay.
But INEC on its own, the only thing INEC needs for them to conduct the election is 189.
189
Yes,
for INEC.
Yes.
So we've not talked about
No,
security and some...
we'll get there.
Okay. Yes, we're talking about
Yes,
credibility now.
I was talking about that we have evolved. And so the electoral process would definitely, with time, I'm just looking at, because right now, okay, look at the Ekiti election. There were complaints of vote buying and all that. Before the Ekiti election and all, we didn't have something like that.
Vote buying?
No, wait, hold on, Ayo. As in, it wasn't as pronounced.
I wanted to say that.
It wasn't as pronounced as what we saw, what we read and what we saw. You know, even before 2011, there was another system entirely in terms of rigging and all. I know there's a particular place I went to. I covered the election, and they said it's systematic rigging. And they moved away from systematic rigging to this vote buying. So with time, you will see that INEC will continue to make rigging and their process very difficult. And that is why they are upgrading. Just like Sam said, they spent 21 billion in 2015 for them to move from analog to digital. Now, INEC is already thinking of being more digital. That is why they are budgeting this amount. So very soon you'll see that people, and in Ekiti, if you notice, immediately you vote, immediately you do your accreditation, you vote, immediately it goes straight to INEC portal. So everything was just like that. So very soon we'll be getting results as early as possible. And even Ekiti, if you notice, before we used to take like 2-3 days for us to get results. But look at how many days. Even I remember when you called and said, they've started collation. So forget about that it was maybe the number of local government. But yes, it was very, very fast. Because I know we covered the election 4 years ago in Ekiti. And for 2 days, we were still on it. So with time, INEC is going to grow into making our election foolproof. The amount might be too large for us to think of now. Maybe because of the economy. Maybe because we have lost confidence, or most Nigerians have lost confidence in what is happening. But I tell you, I bet, in the next couple of years, people will begin to see our election as being full.
As we're living this now, Sam, you see, let me just, the reference point when it comes to democracy in the US, you know that election, it's always November, I think, 21st November. So are we getting there?
I share his optimism, but I still have very serious worries. Because even as a journalist, we have cases.
Let's look at their last outing, the by-elections. Wasn't it a reflection of what people wanted? The last weekend by-election. Bauchi, Katsina.
Maybe to some extent. But
you judge them with their last...
Maybe to some extent. But even the opposition party, the PDP, has raised reservations.
Of course they will.
But
what do you expect them to do?
No, but you don't write those complaints off completely. And I say so because there are reports, and the platform where I work is currently investigating those claims that a certain political party, will leave out whatever name it is, okay, is currently systematically buying votes. And what they're basically doing is invite their members, give them forms, where they are told to make entries of their PVC numbers, PVC details. And those who are tech savvy tell us that with those details, those who work at the back end can manipulate the system. But you can't rule out anything. Technology, computer is basically garbage in, garbage out.
Okay, let me just take this caller. I think Greg is calling us from Lagos. Many thanks for hanging out with us, Greg.
Yeah, good evening. Well done.
Good evening, Gregory.
Good evening.
Yeah, you are considering this budget.
Okay.
You have forgotten that dollar in 2015 was about 180, 200. Today it's about 360. And the component of these election materials that are sold outside Nigeria are many. So definitely you have to put that into consideration when you are looking at the increase in the budget.
That's key.
Because most of the election materials are not printed here, and you won't
Like the
expect
sensitive
them to be
materials.
printed at the same cost as in 2015 or 2014. So I want you to look into that perspective. It's not as if I don't believe that the jump is fictitious, but because of the component of foreign exchange.
And inflation rates.
Exactly.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. That's quite strategic. Good point.
Yeah, I don't know if one should.
We'll just wrapping up on this now.
No, respond to that. See, but the concern of Nigerians is that we need to make progress from where we are. We also have to look at what it is costing Nigeria to get each person to vote, which is very important. Sometime in 2011, again with all the flood data that we have, we heard it was between 1,003 and maybe 1,004. By 2015, it was about 1,007 to 1,009. Now, we go by the figures supplied by Professor Mahmoud, the INEC chairman, we're told that we have at the moment about 82 million registered voters. If you divide that by the budget, it's 9 billion, you have per voter, 2,300. Again, that's arguable because facts, data that I have sourced independently tell me that it's going to cost us for each voter about 3,500. But let us even concede to INEC that their claims are correct. Our concern as citizens is that we should get value for money. We want credible, peaceful, free, fair polls.
We're not asking for. Yeah, that's why they are giving you the figures.
We're not asking for so much. And the progress that we're asking for, we have all manner of systems in place. You have BVN, we have the national ID card and all that. And we're saying that rather than countries are making progress, rather than locating ourselves where we are at the moment, we can integrate the BVN system, the national ID card system, and reach
the passport,
database. A decent database that we can work with. And then you can stay back. Ayo, you asked. You can stay back in your home and vote. Now, when you get to that point, this huge sums of money, we won't be talking about it.
Like a pastor we always say on TV, we'll get there.
We hope so.
Anyway, let's just moving on now. Now, the great British poet Robert Browning once said, and I quote, "Ambition is not what man does, but what man would do." Taking this into perspective, then one may begin to understand the enigma, Nigeria's Senate president, that Abubakar Bukola Saraki has become. We have seen what he did at the National Assembly, but what more to come from Senator Saraki remains in the realm of his ambition. Recently, he gave a hint of what more to expect from him. Speaking with Bloomberg, Saraki said he may take the shots at the presidency in the 2019 elections. Could this ambition of Saraki's be the fire filling a smoke clouding the National Assembly? I remember having a group argument on WhatsApp with my old schoolmates, and I actually told somebody like 2 months ago that Senator Saraki did not move into PDP to become the Senate president again. That he's going to throw his hat in the ring. Yeah. And he said, no. Already, they have complex situation in PDP. They can't afford more complexities. I said, watch. Fast forward. Because the attribute of a good journalist, you must be able to anticipate, see moves, and see everything. So what is happening is that if you Google Bukola Saraki now, you discover that what will pop up is about the most talked about politician in Nigeria right now.
Absolutely.
In the last 2-3 weeks.
Fantastic strategy, if you ask me.
So, going to Bloomberg, they have a way of doing it. Do it in the foreign media. Just drop the hint in the foreign media, and they start, you know, and you know, a theory of communication. You know, those ones they know how to set the agenda.
They set the agenda for us.
Set the agenda, and we start, you know,
feeding on it.
Looking at what is happening in the National Assembly, the World Press Conference last week and everything. Asuko, let me start from you. How strategic is this move?
Ayo is strategic, you know, because I know right now that the Saraki's camp, they are ticking the right buttons. They are ticking the right, you know, boxes. Let me use that word, you know. And they seem to be going 2 steps ahead of the only man who has thrown his hat in the ring in the ruling party. You know, because if you look at it, he knows where to go, what to say at the right time. And if you look at it, just like you said, if you Google Saraki, he seems to be the only one reigning. I won't say the approval rating of the president has gone down. The president is still there. In fact, majority, most people believe that it is Buhari and the rest. You understand?
Leading presidential.
It is still the leading, you know. And they still believe that the president will still win the election, no matter how. You get? But Saraki seems to be the only one in the news right now. And just like in 2015, because if you look at it, just like in 2015, APC was in the lips of everybody. Then,
during the formation stage.
You understand the formative, and people are still talking about change, APC, and it became a religion. Before you know it,
at the point in time, February 14th, last time,
you know,
February.
You know, people were angry when they even moved the election
from that Valentine's Day to
you
March.
know, because people were willing to just remove the PDP then. And that, I think that is the same strategy Saraki is using now. Just to be on everybody's faces. Just to be on everybody's lips. And then the strategists of the president are not looking at that. Saraki might have his own baggage. But to me, he's doing the right thing. If he will get the ticket of the PDP, is another thing.
Kettle of fish.
And if the PDP will be willing to give him, because that is another thing.
The national leader?
You know, because he's the national leader now. If they want to give him, is another thing.
Okay.
But as it stands now, he seems to be the only one playing the right cards.
Now, within the PDP, Saraki is going to be faced with, you know, tough opposition, like the old war horse, Atiku Abubakar. The former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. Former governor of Kano State, Shekarau.
Even Turaki.
Saminu Turaki. Kwakwanso. That's bringing it to like 9 now. Dakwambo.
Even Tambo.
Yes, even Tambo, I say he's under pressure.
Yes, under
that's
pressure.
The normal language.
Yes,
that's the normal language. Dakwambo, that's the Gobe State governor. McCarthy, that's the former chairman of the, you know, in the midst of this, do you see complications if a Saraki should throw his hat in the ring?
Yes. I think those working for Saraki are doing the right thing. Saraki is turning to be the villain, quote and unquote, deliberately. And the most annoying part is that the ruling party seems to be playing to his tune. You know, by the utterances of the party, the ruling party, the chairman of APC, every day, for every mention, For every time you go on television, go on radio, or newspaper, and be talking, even as a chairman of a party, you are talking about your opponent. You are making him more popular.
Exactly.
That is what happens. We are students of communication. We are journalists. We know this. Most of those politicians don't know. No matter...
You just told them. No?
Yes, now, I'm just telling them, in case they don't know. In journalism school and PR school, we are told that publicity is publicity, either negative or positive. And in fact, we also told that even bad news sells more than good news. And when you continue, and do you know why artists go on radio and TV to beg that their works are used or regularly? Because the more you use that work, the more it sinks in the psyche of people.
Exactly.
And your music becomes popular. That's what happens. And that is what they are doing now. Now, the ruling party is turning Saraki into a villain. There's a level of where you push a person or his image. You start growing sympathy, even from those that hate him. And that is what they're doing. Now, see what happened. Look at the scenario. What happened at the National Assembly, our DSS went there to lock up the place, and every day somebody comes over and says, even if he's 12, even if he's 13, if he's 20, we are going to remove him. What you are telling Nigerians is you are not going to follow.
No, he's always putting that legally.
That's what I'm
he's saying they are going to do it legally.
Wait,
quoting him every day now.
Well, Ayo, initially,
he said they are going to.
We'll do everything
initially, we on this beat, we know what they've been saying. I'm telling you, okay. Initially, that was language before that putting the issue of legally and non legally. Now, back to your question. I've said it that PDP has not gotten to a point where they are going to implode or explode, just like almost what happened it is going to come. PDP is going to have its time. Because when you have the primaries, whether direct or indirect, and somebody comes up, you can be rest assured that some of these big wigs who are currently running against this, and don't forget, the governors are very powerful. You might be looking at a candidate. If the governors of the PDP say, this is who we want.
Do you use some wiki connection?
You are the one mentioning names.
No, that's
I'm just saying.
Within the PDP, they own the machinery right now.
It used to be Yeso Wike and Fayose. Fayose has really good. What I'm trying to say is that if we shouldn't the ruling party shouldn't be doing what they are doing presently. Okay. They should be cutting they should be cutting Nigerians, not trying to make a villain out of a person. Now, Saraki is a political strategist to the core. Most of our people are not politicians. Most of these people that call themselves are not politicians. Saraki is a politician. If you look at some of the trendy video immediately after that siege, you remember you saw him with I don't know whether I saw that video.
Laughing and all.
Good. They were laughing.
And his moves after
the
Babangida to Obasanjo.
Now he has gone to Obasanjo. What is he going to Obasanjo
to go and check the library.
So he went to. No, he didn't attend the opening of the library.
And
then he decided to go and look at the library. He also went to Mina to see Babangida. He will go and see some other people
Salam
and the rest of them. Now, what is going to happen is that for the PDP is already having a problem within themselves. They will not tell you that. Because when you look at the barrage of, especially between Atiku, Saraki, Kwakwanso, and Tambuwa, and the rest of them, and you will know that there's going to be, how Saraki is able to play his game will determine what happens. Already, they've already made him the highest ranking member of the party, for now.
National leader.
Yes, as the national leader. In fact, at the point I was asking, if someone like President Goodluck Jonathan is still in the party, so why will Saraki want to become the national? You know, the people quickly say, after all, is Tinubu not the national leader of APC? So some of us say, okay, fine, you have a reason. But let's wait and see what happens in the next.
Sam, your own dimension to this. If Saraki joins the galaxy of stars within the People's Democratic Party.
Yeah, I think one needs to be said, has been substantially said, which is that Saraki is playing the strategy of the victim. I know as a victim, you elicit a lot of sympathy. And that seems to be working.
How far can that take him?
maybe not too far. In the eyes of Nigerians, it will seem that he's being unfairly treated. But
No, not
in terms of I'm coming to I'm coming to that.
Within the PDP.
I'm taking at two levels.
Delegates.
At the level of Nigerians, that is the perception. At the level of the party, it's been said that the real war is ahead, and that's the truth. How the party is able to manage that will become some sort of movie for those of us who are watching. But you can tell from what is playing out that all the aspirants are digging in. And nobody is going to say, no, I'm not interested. I'm going to step down for this person, because it's all going to be about...
It's
all going to be about negotiation. And I don't know if you agree with me. There is also this very strong perception that because of the challenges the ruling party has had, that it might be possible, feasible, for the opposition party to return to power. Again, that's a matter of conjecture. And that is what is essentially driving
the PDP.
The
prospect of...
Yes, driving the PDP. And that's why everybody seems to want to fight and grab the ticket, believing that if I get it and 1 + 1 becomes 2, I stand a very good chance. So, Saraki is doing basically what every other Nigerian politician that you know will do. But there's an extra to this Saraki phenomenon, which is that he wants, and that's the game he's playing, to position himself in such a manner, because he is a wanted man, wanted in quotes, and now he has to hide under an umbrella. Whether he truly means to contest is a different thing. Yeah. But if you ask me, I think that he also wants some kind of soft land. He knows that the ruling party wants him out. If he goes out, the most secure place for him to be is to say, I'm running for the presidency. By which time, if the Buhari administration comes after him, they will say, oh, no, he's being haunted because he left to contest against Mr. President. So I think that is his strategy. Like we always argue here, the average Nigerian politician doesn't want to go behind bars. He wants to remain out there. And one way to play safe is to say, no, I'm being hounded because I want to run against Mr. President. So it's working out for him to some extent. But we must also appreciate the fact that Saraki has come a long way. All of us agree that he's a smart politician. We should remember that, you talked about his visit to OBJ. OBJ appointed him a special assistant way back in 2001. And he served, in a very strategic committee, a special assistant on budget. And within that period, he was able to initiate, the fiscal responsibility stuff. He's been very busy. He was involved in the fuel subsidy stuff. So he's been very active. As to his chances within the party, I think we just need to sit back and watch, because all the guys involved in the PDP who are aspiring to become, presidents are all tough nuts, very tough nuts.
That's the landing word. Asuko, when you come to, we're doing a kind of SWOT analysis on this aspirant yesterday, and we concluded that, for APC, it's like a done deal. Mr. President might end up being their candidates, And so the story of Mr. President not willing or not wanting to, all these that they are throwing all around. Because I would say, why let him go to the ballots, allow him to go, and when you defeat him, that's not try to stop him through the fake news and everything. Exactly. But the bottom line here is, I'm looking at somebody like Kwankwaso that I know he has been working hard. I know people that are close to that movement. He has a structure all over. And he has had this vision not 4 years ago. He has been oiling this. He has been oiling this machinery and everything. People like Atiku Abubakar saying that this might be his last chance. I think Atiku should be like 73 now. Yeah. And
he's going for 1 term.
As desperate.
Forgotten he said that he just want 1 term.
And knowing that power might return to the south, whether south or southeast also, but power might return to the south, or will definitely. If those major political parties, the informal thing they have, might return to the South in 2023. Now, do you see Saraki having this same kind of structure that could get the number of delegates if they say they are using the delegate system, or if they say they want to go even for the direct primaries?
You know, if they are going by indirect...
Because what we are talking about is in a matter of 6-7 weeks.
Yes, I know.
Going by this timetable that I've seen.
I know. If they are going by indirect primaries, a Kwankwasia has that structure. Kwankwaso has that structure. And if you look at it, the APC and the PDP, if you notice, when APC takes anybody from a particular region, they go for it. The president is from where? From the northwest. Definitely, PDP will not make the mistake of trying to bring their own candidate from another region. It has to come from the northwest.
Really?
Yes. If not, they will lose. If not, they will lose.
Let me quickly pick Isiaka's call. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Isiaka is out. Asuka, please fire.
So, like I was saying, they are looking at look at the national chairman from the south and from the south. If they bring any candidate, even Saraki himself, you know,
he's from North Central.
He's not central. He's not central. Then how popular and how many structures does Saraki has in the North Central zone only? Let's even assume that. Kwankwasia has structures. He has people, even in this Lagos that you are talking about.
The red cap people.
We don't want to talk about Katsina. Remember when he went for the campaigns in Katsina during the by-election? Look at the crowd.
Go to Oshun, go to Ife.
So he's a silent candidate or silent aspirant, which all these people that are, including Atiku that has the war chest, you know, is going to beat. Because if apart from the war chest, he has the people. He has people that will work for him. Atiku has politicians who are his network, but we are talking about foot soldiers. Will somebody who is old, who has been with Atiku for many years, be able to go to that remote area to go and canvass for votes, or to even bring somebody out and say, you are going to... Don't
forget it's a delegate system.
Yes.
We're still talking about that system.
It depends on, I don't know what they want to use. Maybe it's whether they're going to use indirect primaries or direct primaries. You understand? But if it's the indirect, during the APC primaries, who won? Who took second? It was Kwankwaso. So he knows how to bring these people out to vote for him. And he's going to still use those people because the same people that were with him in APC, most of them have moved to the PDP. So he's still going to use them.
In your last take now, do you agree that, are you saying Saraki does not stand a chance?
To a large extent, he may not stand the chance.
6 months.
But let me tell you, whoever the governor's back is going to get the ticket. In APC 2014, President Buhari didn't have the watches in terms of cash and the rest of the Atiku, so had it. But when Ashwaju came into the fray, everything changed because Ashwaju completely backed President Buhari. That was a game changer, and everything changed. Now, the same thing in PDP. Yeah, Kwankwasia, in terms of money, Saraki, Atiku, Kwankwaso have it. It's not the Tambo and the McAfee and the rest of them. When it comes to cash.
In terms of cash, just remove Atiku.
That's what I'm saying. Atiku is that's what I'm saying. They are not in the same. Now, if the governors don't swing it, and Atiku, if it comes to cash, none of those candidates can beat Atiku. I can assure you of that. So the only people that can bring that to be close are the governors, and whoever they back, I'm sure they'll take it. The person will take it.
Gentlemen, let's leave it at that. Sam, it's been a wonderful time analyzing the chances of these tough men. Super Jensen, thank you. And see you again.
Wonderful.
I enjoyed it, everybody. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangouts on our platforms showing on the screen. Catch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangouts at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.